This is the last word, and I'm Marya Shakil. In a major terrorist attack, 2 army vehicles have been ambushed in Rajouri of Jammu and Kashmir. Army soldiers retaliated immediately. The encounter is still on. So far, 3 soldiers have lost their lives and 3 have been injured. This is second attack on the army in this region in less than 1 month. There are reports of heavy firing following the ambush as reinforcement has been rushed to the area to neutralize the attackers. Sources say the army vehicles were ambushed at Thana Mandi in Rajouri, while troops repulsed in the attack. Last month, soldiers, including 2 captains, were killed during the ambush after army and its special forces launched an anti-terrorist operation in Kalakot area of Rajouri. The region has become a hotbed for terrorists and site of major attacks on the army over the last few years. In fact, in April-May this year, 10 soldiers were killed in twin attacks in Rajouri Poonch area. Rajouri Poonch of Pir Panjal was largely free of terrorism since 2003, but terrorism reappeared here in 2021, leading to frequent encounters in this region. In the last 2 years, more than 35 army troopers have been killed during encounters with terrorists in this area. Lieutenant General Ata Hasnain is joining us. We also have Nazir, my colleague, who's joining me from Srinagar. Nazir, what's the latest on encounter?
Well, it is as part of the relentless operations by the army which it has launched in these areas, which is a very, very difficult terrain. And army in this ambush has lost 3 soldiers and 3 who have been injured, though there are reports that there could be more casualties, but we are waiting for the army's confirmation. Firing has stopped, and it appears that army may resume the operation tomorrow morning, because during the night carrying out operation is a very, very risky task. But the way it has happened, it is clear now the theatre of militancy has shifted from the plains of the valley to the mountains of Pir Panjal, and Pakistan is pushing more and more terrorists into this area, taking advantage of the situation given the fact that a large number of troops were moved from this area to Ladakh after Galwan incident in 2020. After that, we have seen in 2021, there was the first major encounter in which 5 soldiers were killed in October 2021. That was followed by another encounter, 5 more soldiers were killed. Then come to April this year, 5 soldiers were killed in an attack, in an ambush, similar ambush in the same area. That was followed by a major operation by the special forces, but special forces lost 5 soldiers on May 5. And in November 22nd, last month, 5 more soldiers, including 2 captains, lost their life in their fight against militancy. What is more really chilling, that the Army Northern Command Chief, Lieutenant General Upendra Dwivedi has said after last month's attack, there are 20 to 25 foreign terrorists operating in this area. Really very, very disturbing, because this area was free from militancy since 2003 to 2021, and now this is becoming a hotbed of militancy is really a huge challenge for the army. Another important thing is that if you the gypsy you see in the visuals, it is a bulletproof gypsy, and it has been targeted apparently with the steel core bullets, which now the terrorists have been using in this particular area to target the bulletproof vehicles. And there have been soldiers who have been injured. Immediately, ambulances were rushed to the area. Reinforcement has been rushed to the area to track down the attackers. but the dense forest and the difficult terrain provides them a perfect shelter. So we see a clear pattern. On one hand, there's ceasefire since last 2.5 years along the line of control, but under the garb of ceasefire, we see Pakistan pushing more militants, particularly in this area in Pir Panjal, making it the worst militancy theatre in the area. And if you just count the number of attacks this year, casualties of army has suffered is very, very high.
It's a long list of casualty in this particular region. General Hasnain, why is Rajouri Poonch seeing this increase in terror?
See, Marya, first of all, thank you for inviting me for your program. And I largely agree with what Nazir has said. Nazir is an old friend of mine. We normally tend to agree with most of our assessments, I find. But let me make this a little more militarily oriented as such. he is absolutely right when he says that militancy, terrorism from the plains of the valley has been virtually wiped out and has pushed it into the Pir Panjal belt. Now, in the Pir Panjal belt, this side, the southern belt, seems to be much more conducive to terrorist hideouts because it is very, very badly broken, this area, this terrain. Lots and lots of forested cover here. As you go along into the winter, this forested cover does recede, but otherwise there is a huge amount of forested cover here. The distance from the line of control to this area is comparatively much shorter than what the distance is in the case of the Kashmir Valley, where if you have to operate, if you have to infiltrate, you will have to go through 3, 4, 5 layers of army deployment. So this is a far simpler area to operate in terms of the shorter distances to the areas where these operations are going on. Okay. Nazir is correct that we have moved a segment of troops from here to Ladakh. Some other troops have moved out in the earlier years when this area became much more normalized. But now it seems that the other side from Pakistan, they are finding that to retain their relevance, it is far easier to operate in this area than it is to operate in the Kashmir Valley. Well, Kashmir Valley is flush with troops. There are a large number of Rashtra Rifle units out there, and it's far easier to perhaps operate there compared to this area. So the army will have to find new ways. They have already redeployed. A lot of deployments have taken place of the army. I'm aware of that. Some reserve formations, reserve units have also moved into this area. I don't think an add-on troops is going to improve the situation in any way. We will just have to be more careful, more intelligence, make sure that our vehicles which we operate in are hardened vehicles. I don't believe that these gypsy vehicles are hardened in any way, because it's very difficult hardening gypsy vehicles. If they are bulletproof, they hardly are able to move. So we need better equipment in this area. There is no doubt about it.
Okay, General Asnan, would you say that given the topography of this area and fresh challenges in terms of newer techniques that are being employed by terrorists, there is a need for the army to relook at its strategy?
Well, the army has got far too much of experience. They've got almost 33 years of experience doing this very thing in the army, in these areas. There is a turnover of troops which keeps taking place from time to time. This is a Rashtra Rifle unit, and it happens to be from my regiment alone itself. So I am aware that this is a very experienced unit which has been here for the better part of the last 30 years almost about 25 years. So they're not short on experience in any way. All they need to do is to do a little bit of tactical review from time to time, perhaps, and tape up their drills a little more, because what happens is that as the strength of terrorists reduces, the tactics of the terrorists also change. We have to keep pace with that, understand it, recognize it, and keep changing our stance too.
All right, General Asnan, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. And shifting focus to our second story now, the last full session of the 17th Lok Sabha has come to an end. The government ensured passage of key landmark legislations like criminal laws, amending bills, but it also will be remembered as a session where there were huge number, perhaps a record number of suspensions, 143 opposition MPs suspended. So let's bring in the guests and try and get perspective on what the BJP and the Congress will be remembering this session for. Shama Mohammed, beginning with you.
The opposition or the country will remember this session for the government being undemocratic. See, you have suspended 146 members of parliament. And what is the reason? Because we asked a question, a very pertinent question. Let's understand the parliament was attacked. The parliament was attacked, and we can call it a terror attack. Why? Because the police have put UAPA on these 6 people. So what does that mean? It's a terror attack. Now, you have a terror attack, which we already had in 2001. You have another one now. And the Home Minister is not even ready to answer a single question. We also know that these people were protesting over something, whatever. You have suspended 146 members of parliament, but the person, Pratap Simha, the member of parliament who's given that pass, is nowhere to be seen. He's not in parliament. We asked why has he not been suspended? He's still there. You have expelled Mahua Moitra. But the person who called Ramesh Biduri, called Danish Ali a terrorist inside Parliament has not been suspended, no action taken. So the question today is, why is the Prime Minister silent? And who is accountable? There is no accountability in this government. I want to know who is accountable for this.
Tom
And we just
Godakan,
asked a simple
Tom Godakan, the
statement.
concerns are valid here, and unfortunately, although you would have wanted this session to be remembered for key legislations, including the new criminal laws, but this record suspension will go down as in the history as well. That 17th Lok Sabha, 146 opposition MPs suspended in matter of few days.
Maria, it takes two hands to clap. Suspension is not a one-sided monologue. It happens because it's an action and a reaction. If you cross the Rubicon of the business advisory meeting, where it was clearly stated that you cannot come in with placards and enter certain premises, there was complete agreement. And after that, there is a studied attempt to create a situation where they defied the chairman of the House and the speaker. Now, under that circumstances, do you expect indiscipline to be running amok in the temple of democracy?
No,
it is not just
one-sided.
one-sided.
Of democracy, how can the Treasury benches decide, sir? How can the Treasury benches decide alone that this is the only way to discipline the opposition? You had key legislations
let me complete.
Which required, elaborate discussions and debate. Did that happen?
But Maria, I'm asking you a question. How do you expect that the Business Advisory Committee, all leaders of the opposition parties were there, and it was agreed upon that they will not carry placards and create a situation where they have to be removed? Now, if you create a situation like that, do you expect the chairman, the speaker, to sit idle on a promise that was made at the Business Advisory Committee?
But tell me, would you have not wanted some more discussions on the criminal law bills
certainly
and the telecommunication bill?
We certainly wanted all that.
Healthy democracy?
We certainly wanted that. But did we get an opportunity? They created a ruckus and they continued doing this ruckus. If they wanted a Guinness Book of Record of people being suspended, so be it.
Shama, all this may have been great has the opposition got the pulse of the people right. I'm not too sure if the first event of a united opposition bloc should be to protest against the suspension of MPs, because that will not resonate with the public of India.
No, listen to me, Marya. What is the protest for? Because why were they suspended? The protest is for we cannot ask a parliament, the temple of democracy, the most secure place has been attacked. And why there were no placards on the first day when the MPs came in. They said we need a statement from the Home Minister. The Home Minister not only is supposed to speak in Parliament, he's speaking to the nation, because we are worried when the Parliament can be attacked, any place in India can be attacked. And already there is high security. We've got a new building. They said there are cameras. In 2001, it was attacked. So our question was, just give us a statement. Now, my question today is, the Home Minister speaks outside to a TV channel, gives an interview. The Prime Minister speaks to Dainik Bhaskar. So they can't speak in Parliament. Isn't it the duty of the opposition to ask questions? And let's go back to 2010, 11, 12. What was Sushma Swaraj and Arun Jaitley doing? They clearly said that it is important in democracy to do this. And that is what is true democracy. So my question today is, they're telling us that we can't protest, we can't ask questions, and also look at the audacity that they did not have, the Parliament building did not have for 48 days a joint security for security.
No, all those are valid questions, Shama.
So this is very important.
While I understand that the questions being raised by opposition are valid ones, but the opposition right now, is it really in that position to register views which can be very well not taken up with the belligerence that it did? That is my limited point. Is this the right time for showcasing your strength when you have far greater issues at hand?
So, Marya, you're telling me that we have no right to ask the Home Minister.
No, I'm
the
not
Home
saying
Minister
that.
does not give a statement.
I'm not
the
saying
Home
that.
Minister does not give a statement. We are supposed to keep quiet. And has there been a suspension like this? My question today is, you are asking the right questions, then you must ask, why is Pratap Simha not suspended or expelled or a UAPA put on him? I fail to understand that. This is the security of the nation. Just in case it was the Congress government, we'll know what happens. There has to be accountability. There's been no accountability on the intelligence failure in Pulwama. There is no accountability now. We are asking us, they can have an investigation, whatever. The Home Minister can come and say, you know what, we are looking into it very firmly, very deeply. We want everything right. We don't know how the security lapsed. Should not have happened because we also had a threat from the US, from Panoon. And I cannot understand when such a threat happened. You pass bills.
Fine, Shama, you don't have to scream.
Why are you? No, the question today
it's
is
a very civilized debate. That's what NDTV is known for.
I agree with you, Marya. What happens to all of us?
You've got your fair chance to speak. So let's
I
make
agree.
an effort. So thank you so much.
Chance.
Thank you. Tom Vadakan, 30 seconds to you, and then I end this discussion.
Well, it's very strange. This is not the
Pratap
first time.
Simha is not suspended. Can you answer that, please, Tom Vadakan?
I'm not here to answer your questions,
Okay,
please.
go
I'm
ahead,
here
Tom Vadakan,
on
please.
Maria's program,
Tom Vadakan,
so
please go ahead.
there's a
Please.
protocol for
Sir,
that.
sir, go ahead.
Now the
Yeah.
question is, this is not the first time that Parliament has been attacked. There has been occasions when they have used this same toolkit in the hijacking of
2001,
the
when you
aircraft.
were in government.
Hijacking of the aircraft during Indiraji's period. You remember, Marya, if you check the records, you'll know. This kind of narrative is a standard operating procedure of the Gandhi family. Let me put that on record and very clearly. There are fingers pointing out and there are fingerprints to indicate connections. There is an investigation in progress. The investigation will come out. Once it comes out, they will all speak.
And
yes,
one thing that has come out is that
Number
CISF has
one.
taken over the Parliament Security. Appreciate your time, Shah Mohammed and Tom Vadakan. A big change after the shocking Parliament breach on 13th December when two men let off smoke canisters in the Lok Sabha. The CISF will now guard the Parliament. The Home Ministry said in a notification that the CISF will now be in charge of access to Parliament and will take over all the responsibilities, including frisking entrance. Here's that story. Shocked by this massive security lapse, the centre has now engaged the Central Industrial Security Force or CISF for security of Parliament. The CISF is currently responsible for security of all Union Government Ministry buildings, nuclear and aerospace installations, civil airports and the Delhi Metro. It will now handle the comprehensive security of the new Parliament building complex. After that violation which happened, the security breach, we can see increased police presence in and around the Parliament of India. There are multiple barricades which have been put up as well. Now, in order to ensure that the entire Parliament premises, which is a new building of Parliament, is foolproof, this mechanism is being put in place. Of course, there will be a survey which will be conducted by CISF first, and thereafter the government going ahead and engaging with CISF in handing over the Parliament security. On the 13th of December, the 22nd anniversary of the attack on Parliament, two men, Sagar Sharma and Manoranjan D, jumped into the Lok Sabha chamber from the visitors' gallery, setting off yellow smoke canisters and shouting slogans before being overpowered by some MPs and the watch and ward staff. Around the same time, two other accused, Amol Shinde and Neelam Devi, also sprayed coloured gas from canisters while shouting "Tanashahi nahi chalegi" outside Parliament. The cans were slipped inside Parliament in cavities cut into custom-made shoes, unnoticed during physical checks.
The issue only is that there'll be huge manpower requirements over there, and there'll be a lot of pressure on the CISF. Every institution should have their own men for security, but then the logistics will be definitely huge.
The CISF will first survey the Parliament complex and then deploy personnel. A CISF communication accessed by NDTV says it is requested to detail other members of the Joint Survey Board, including an officer with technical expertise. An officer of CISF Fire Wing may also be detailed in consultation with the Fire Directorate. The Survey Board may be directed to conduct the survey instructions, guidelines issued from time to time on conducting surveys in association with representatives of the Parliament Secretariat. So frisking at the entrance to Parliament will now be done by the CISF. The change is an attempt to streamline protocols and end jurisdiction confusion of various agencies. Remember, a multi-agency probe was ordered following the security breach. With Neeta Sharma in New Delhi, this is Marya Shakil for NDTV.